we're live.
Nice. How exciting. So welcome everyone and welcome to She Crypto. Today we're talking with the founders of vSelf about identity, about engagement and community in Web3. Here with us we have Tatiana. She is founder and CEO of vSelf, and Roxana, who is founder and CMO of vSelf as well. I met Roxana recently at European Blockchain Convention. That was extremely fun. Her passion for her project really shone through, and we hit it up immediately. I am especially excited about this one because vSelf and what they're trying to solve is really a struggle for I would say every single founder in Web3, which is to have an active community of members. Once you have them join your socials, your channels, it's really tough to keep that momentum going with the engagement and everything that makes up a great community and a great project. So excited to hear more about how they're solving that.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Hi, everybody. I'm Kellyanne, founder of Women in Blockchain, She Crypto, and an Unstoppable Future. I'm really happy to have everyone here today. And unfortunately, I did not go to the European Blockchain Convention, and I hope to go next year. And I'm having a lot of FOMO because I didn't get to meet amazing people like you. And so, as someone who really loves Web3 and building communities, I'm really, super excited to hear all about what you're doing. And Lars told me that, you're just going to blow our minds.
Hmm.
So if we could start with Tatiana, can you give us some background and an intro of yourself, your journey, and then, how you got into crypto and Web3?
Totally, totally. Thanks for having us today. Super excited to share our story and what we're building. My personal role in vSelf is kind of bridging business and technical side. And I'm coming from academic background. I'm a mathematician by training. I spent 10 years in academia as a university professor. So my first gig in Web3 and blockchain was teaching blockchain and doing research with my students. And then I joined some of my friends in startups in around like 2018 and didn't stop building everything. So we turned it into some grand projects from Near Foundation and beyond. And then we met with Roxana and turned it into our own startup. And after two pivots, now we're building what we're going to be talking about today, the marketing assistant for Telegram.
Yeah, that's really exciting.
Fantastic. So, Roxana, what's your story? Would love to hear more about, your background and what led you to Tatiana and to co-found this project.
Interesting. I'm going to answer with the last piece. Secretly, I wanted to have a female founder for around 7 years. And that was a real joy when I met Tatiana and the team. But in 2014, I was in that point of life when I felt the need for more purpose and create impact. And the way I discovered that I can create that was by building startups and fitting this new type of paradigm and doing things. So I've been doing that. I built other two startups for around 7 years. And in 2020, when I wrapped up my last project, I was so attracted by what was going on in the Web3 space. Prior to that, I used to have a client that was very excited and explaining me all the details about DeFi and how it's changing the world and the financial space. So I was already primed. But then I discovered the communities and the level of quality interactions and the quality of the people present there and the new narratives and the philosophy, all of that was pure magnetism. So yeah, all of a sudden, I just wanted to be part of that. It felt like a silent revolution that I wanted to be part of. And then it was amazing when I got the chance to meet Tatiana and the team.
So for someone hearing about vSelf for the first time, can you describe what it is in a couple of sentences, or your elevator? You know how they call it an elevator pitch, could you describe it?
We call it a marketing assistant for Web3 brands, helping them to tokenize and grow and engage their communities. So essentially, our end goal is to turn the idea and the description of any social media marketing campaign for this type of companies into execution, which is automated engagement, mini games, referral campaigns, visual content, everything that we can use for community purposes.
What drew you specifically to the marketing and community side of Web3?
Well, we've been, as Tatiana mentioned, we went through a couple of pivots. We started as an infrastructure project, and after a while, we realized what was going on in the space, that projects were building for coolness. It was exciting. There was a lot of technicality, and even the core of the Web3 space is the community. The project didn't know how to do that, how to do powerful marketing, how to understand their audience, how to be in meaningful conversations, and yeah, how to build strong communities. So we saw the opportunity. It felt natural for us to go in this direction and start building and help projects get into stronger conversations, give them the chance to understand what's beyond the behaviors of their users, what drives them, what doesn't drive them, what motivates, and how they can be more supportive, and how can they serve actually better their community.
And it's really exciting because, Web3 is so new. And so do you find that you're educating users, or helping to educate the users of the brands on Web3 as you're educating them on the products?
Yeah, totally. We see that a lot of founders are so deep into their product, they're so deep into the trenches, they think it's obvious, and they can just present their product to anybody through advertising or through these QL, Twitter campaigns, and they're just gonna get everything from scratch. It's not the reality, and even a lot of people that are tech savvy, that are using other projects, products, or even like having an operating crypto in DeFi. Every time something new is happening, there's so much. And we forget that classical branding and marketing problem, that you need to see things repeatedly to be familiar with the brand, to remember the identica, to remember like what are they like useful features of the product for you personally. So that's something that we wanted to solve with our product, kind of create a simple framework how brands, without like spending too much time, can communicate all this in the environment where the community is hanging.
And it's
Yeah,
so tricky too. Sorry,
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say that it's so tricky as well, because Web3 is just, it's full with jargon and with, vocabulary that is just popping up. Like new vocabulary, I feel like is born every single cycle. The industry is creating history like as it goes. So it's so important to keep a community like in the loop of whatever you're doing, and instead of just using hype words, really getting to what you're achieving. So if you're gonna, for example, put the AI label on your product or your service, then explain simply how you're gonna, use that, and how that's gonna improve and have your community understand. That's so important. And as well, as founders, I feel like sometimes we are so deep into our product or service that we forget that people are not in our heads and have not been developing, this for years and for months, and spending hours. So super cool what you're doing, and how you're educating everyone.
Yeah, and Laura, just
Yeah.
to add a thing, not everybody's Web3 savvy, and we do need more people in the Web3 space. So how is this going to happen if we gatekeep it, like you say, with this jargon, and we make it intimidating? So we have to remember all the time that we have to deal with real humans. So the information needs to be digestible.
Yeah, I ran into that a couple of times. It was just making me think about it because years ago, my agency, we worked with Billboard magazine on a project, and it was an NFT project, and we were all excited, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna blast it out to all the Billboard, users, their newsletter lists and everything. And it did happen, and we were waiting. But then what happened is people were like, wait, what's an NFT? And then that happened with something else too, with a metaverse project for a really big brand. And, they thought all these people would come after they spent all this money building this big, metaverse location. And they blasted it out to like their millions and millions of people, here in the United States. And then like nobody came. They threw a party and nobody came. Yeah.
Oh, that's a sad story.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully we learn
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, so then we were like, wait, first we have to educate people on what is the metaverse or what are NFTs. Yeah.
It's such an important like lesson, because I feel like the last 5 years we've seen so many big brands, like car brands like Porsche or Starbucks, or Nike. They're doing all these things, and then they're gonna have to roll them back and discontinue because it's not popular. It's precisely because of this that you're pointing out, Kelly. And also, I don't know if you guys saw the Reddit digital avatars that they dropped, or collectibles. They called them digital collectibles, and it was a success. And it's precisely because they used digital collectibles. They didn't use NFTs. They were NFTs, right? So there's a problem with not simplifying for Web2 users, which are the majority. So we need to adapt. It's so important. All right. So would love to hear from you ladies. Can you walk us through a concrete use case? And what does the experience look like from a user's point of view using vSelf?
One of the exciting examples that we recently worked with is a game called Globula. They're essentially kind of mixing both traditional gaming experience and Web3 components like NFTs and in-game assets. But people behind them, they're like indie developers. They had super complicated philosophy. They're like a little bit of quantum physics, there are energy levels, there's AR components, so you can walk through a real environment. And to learn all this narrative, like just joining the community for the first time is really hard. So what we did for them is we created this onboarding processes to explain like the visual components in the game, the narrative, what are the roles, what are these energy types that they're introducing. And then they themselves launched Telegram mini app as well. So besides our onboarding, they created their own kind of preview flow for the communities that already was kind of built, aware, and was ready to move forward, was kind of waiting for the game. And after that, they launched the full game, already having like fans that were like following their creation process, understanding their values, understanding the narrative. That was an example. And we did similar things where it was more complicated, like AI, DeFi projects, because when they were doing a lot of content focusing on the fundraising process, it was super like tech heavy. All the PR materials were deep into the agentic space, deep into trading and DeFi kind of elements. And then when they started thinking, okay, who's going to be participating in our launch, we had to like split all these pieces into bits of very digestible kind of mechanics. So people get excited, people started inviting others who might be interested and learning and kind of started recognizing the brand because again, why we chose Telegram instead of like Discord or building a separate platform. You can target people and you can create referral mechanics in the same place where they already kind of subscribe and consume information. And it can be selected by topics like this general IT interest or crypto native people. And that required like allows to kind of target better, to have this less frictionless onboarding process. You just click through and don't leave the app, and you can start using the products of our partners again straight from our kind of engagement and onboarding campaigns without again ever leaving the messenger, which is I think what is still very underused and underappreciated in Telegram, that is already a super app. It's just there is no user habits that much yet. And in crypto, it's changing and it's growing very fast. So that's kind of our walkthrough.
I do have a question. So if a brand would want to do, to market on Telegram, how would you start the process? And can you maybe just walk through, in case anyone's listening and wondering how exactly they could use it to market their product?
Roxana, want to guide us through the
Yeah.
flow?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
like if I wanted to market my, I don't know, let's say Laura and I created She Crypto NFTs, what would we do? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to have, first of all, a clear message there and start talking to the people and invite them in the spaces where they are already present in similar type of conversations or similar communities that share values. And maybe, to ignite the initial community build, the first partnerships and create cross-marketing campaigns. And afterwards, when vSelf can come in place, we can help with creating a flowing strategy of content. And with vSelf, you can start scheduling posts. So having a constant flow of messages that explains or reminds your audience why they are there, what they can expect, what type of contests they can be involved in, and with what form of rewards. Maybe you want to offer only to the very first ones particular perks, so you will reward them in that format, and they will feel like the OGs of your community on Telegram. And besides the content creation part, the part that we love the most is the educational part that can be delivered through quizzes. So you can break pieces of content into small snippets, and they can go through 3 to 5 questions, and they have the correct answer and the explanation of the correct answer in that flow as well. So we make sure that they understand exactly what are the challenges or what is the objective of the community that they are part of. And having fun is very important, and people are competitive and they love to be part of competitions, and they love leaderboards. So for that aspect, we created mini games, hyper casual games, where they can easily get engaged with your branding and with the different types of engagement forms. They can engage with the logo or with other key visual elements. These are all reminders. So they start building a relationship with the brand and with the messaging and with the purpose of being there.
Okay.
And not to forget, that we have also the rewards distribution part integrated. So depending on the strategy that you create and how you decide that you want to reward your community, they can either receive points, and based on those points, maybe merge or other perks related to the community, or directly tokens.
Okay, that's interesting. It sounds like you could use it for just about anything. So events or anything. Okay, very cool.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So
And then, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was gonna add that, I went through kind of like the demo for vSelf, and what I really loved is the fact that the friction is minimal because everything is inside of Telegram. So that makes it really easy for people to stay engaged. And the quiz part, the multiple choice quizzes that you can set up and schedule and have them be distributed at the time that you wish to do so is super, super fun, because that really also is a tool for people that are not necessarily super into Web3. They get hooked in that way. That gamification aspect I thought was super fun as well.
Yeah, and in that conversation, I liked that Laura said, "Oh, so basically you help people remember why they are in this community, because who isn't in a ton of communities, and we even forget why we are there and how we got there or what's the purpose of us being there." So with vSelf and having the possibility of scheduling messaging and doing that regularly, you make sure that people know why they are there. They keep being engaged. It's not a hype wave and a one-time shot, which unfortunately is the type of strategy that we see in many communities at the moment.
So what's been one of the most surprising things that you've learned as you've been working on this?
Well, we've been talking to quite a bit of different Web3 brands, and on a lot of conversation with founders, you always hear that they want retention, that they want better conversion, they really want their product to be delivered to the right people who are going to stay in the community, going to be loyal users, and it's kind of ideal scenario for almost anybody building a company. But eventually we see a lot of people are rushing too much and just ended up acquiring random traffic and being surprised that it's not working. And it's so irrational. I understand how it works from the perspective of metrics and market pressure. But that was always surprising. We're going to come back to this conversation. It's like, guys, but what do you want to do with these people now? How do you expect this number? And for some people, eventually, this kind of dead traffic and that dead subscription make it worse because they need more efforts to kind of meet this expectation instead of growing first 2x and 5x and slowly reaching the number, having some percentage of people who want to be there for the product. They immediately have an inflated group with very little engagement and very little interest to what they're posting or doing.
Right. Right. It reminds me of people in Web2 buying followers, and then you have all these people, but it doesn't matter, or they're fake, Yeah.
100%. So how do you think about identity and reputation with these Web3 projects, which that's your niche, right? Versus Web2, the Web2 world and Web2 projects that are perhaps on Telegram?
We started in the identity niche from the very beginning, thinking that we can build something on the infra level. So we thought deeply about different components and thought, oh my God, like Web3, decentralized identity is so exciting. Everybody, like all the Web2 SMM and like marketing has to use it immediately. That was kind of our level of excitement about that. But then what we've noticed that there's a lot of the bigger downside about the way Web3 is operating with data. Like, okay, on one side, being decentralized and highly accessible is good for a lot of use cases around finance, but when it comes to being identifiable through what you're doing with product, having a lot of data about your behavior, that's open, like how a lot of early blockchain projects were doing it. Obviously, now we have a lot of privacy focused projects, a lot of blockchains for privacy. But the big chunk still, what decentralized apps are doing, you have a big trace. And if, say, 5 years ago, it wasn't like that much of an issue, not that many companies were specializing on data retrieval about customers, and now, like, anybody can quickly run an AI agent. And there are a lot of people who are holding assets, who are participating in something that can compromise their identity, that compromise their safety. We see a lot of scams. We see a lot of even like physical attacks for people trying to find like secret crypto millionaires. So that's part that was always important for us. We were looking at different ZK solutions for privacy and different kind of mathematical techniques, how we can hide the connection between what's on chain and what is a kind of Twitter or Telegram account of the user. And that's still a piece that we saw as an obstacle between all the cool things Web3 and being able to work fully for traditional brands. And that's why we're trying to kind of create this level of kind of this connection. So we don't have the explicit connection between the users' wallets and their Telegram ID. Only partners see this connection. And we recommend to rotate the wallet between campaigns. So you're not creating the obvious, like, traceable digital track. So things like that is something, again, to educate users about, to educate brands about, that now it's possible to do it with Web3 tools without violating the data privacy aspect. But it's the process of making it more obvious for both sides.
Right. And I know you talked a little bit about this earlier, as far as like the quizzes and, how it's easy. But, how are platforms or how is, vSelf helping to onboard people into Web3? We talked a little bit about it earlier, but are you seeing people who don't know anything about it who are coming in, to the brands that you're working with?
Well, I think we see all the time people entering the Web3 space and simplifying the narratives and making things digestible. That's our mission as well. And another important aspect is gamifying the onboarding process, making it easy, making it accessible, and making it exciting. When people want to be and want to go through that initial challenge. So that's what we take as a mission, making the onboarding as frictionless as possible into the Web3 space, and for brands to build their audience and their communities.
And I'm very big into design and good user interfaces. And I think that's something that is also often missing in the crypto space, because there is this particular degen style, some memes and visuals that are not very comprehensible, or sometimes not very aesthetically looking for everyday user. So converting it into more smooth common ground, so nothing is too repelling, nothing is too weird, and more kind of intuitive for users. That's a big thing for us.
Oh my God, UX, UI is so important. I feel like we're still in the Web3 phase that looks like the 2000s in the internet, because things look so complicated. Maybe not so much. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but when I first started using, for example, the Binance app, it was so it was so complicated. They gave you like 25 options. I just want 3 options. Just show me the spot, the features, and my main wallet. Don't show me and an overview. Don't show me so many things, especially when I'm starting, right? So I really feel that that's a huge thing. And it's great to hear that you guys are, taking that into account. Have you noticed any differences in how women or other underrepresented groups engage with identity and reputation online?
I think the main thing is that Web3 and crypto Twitter is, from my perspective, very inclusive. So it's much different from what we have in traditional computer science or IT space in terms of who is involved. I think people have much more freedom to express themselves without losing the ability to look professional and still being hired, or like still working in like marketing space and being a little bit weird in the internet. And that's kind of helps a lot all the underrepresented categories that's not going to work for traditional SaaS companies in the same quality and can work in crypto being whatever they want to be. But for we're obviously big part of Web3 female communities and women identifying groups. And there I do see that women appreciate like visual component and run more personal brands on both Twitter and other social platforms and bring these elements into their brands and like what they're doing professionally. So it's becoming like more like inside stories. How do they do that? How do they like their personal struggles and everyday like maybe issues and what they have to overcome to do that when their male counterparts often show only success parts of the story and shouldn't when it come to socials to brag and don't have this human touch to whatever they're doing. But as again, it's like subjective summarization. Obviously, on the individual level, you can find examples of both behavior all the way around.
Yeah. So if we look forward, say you're looking forward 5 years from now, where do you see vSelf in 5 years?
That's such a big question considering the fast pace of the Web3 space. You see the trends changing every 3 or 6 months. It's so tiring to keep up with the pace of the space. But if we would make an imaginary exercise, I would say we are in a place where brands and projects really pay attention to the quality of the interaction with their audience and to the brand building aspect. And these things are at the core of the communication and of, the daily interactions. And in terms of product, well, we aim to have everything text to execution fully AI automated. So I think that will happen even sooner than in 5 years. Yeah, that's quite a challenging exercise to imagine how reality will look in 5 years.
Right. Yeah. I'm always curious, but yes, lots of AI.
AI everywhere, and crypto everywhere as well. It's just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. So,
It creates such an important opportunity where you can have a two-way conversation. It's not like, Facebook or Instagram where it's usually brand to the consumer. It's actually a space where brands can co-create with their audience. They can receive real-time feedback they can implement, they can go back and see how this is being received. And right now there is a bit of a crisis in the space due to the number of bots and non-authentic people joining communities, and that will not make it for a strong community in the end. So yeah, if I'm thinking longer term, hopefully this will be a mitigated problem, and proof of humanness and bots will be easier to spot and separate.
Prove humanity. That's a use case right there that I would follow for sure. So you're both women founders. For women who are curious about starting something in Web3, what lessons from your founder journey would you share with them?
Oh, that's a big one. I think the main is not to wait until something is perfect. I see a lot of like behavioral studies showing that women generally wait longer and prepare more to even show something as a ready product. Same with job applications, sales with fundraising application. So just do something earlier. Try to find investors, find first clients for the product that doesn't exist. Put yourself out there. And same with networking. Ask people to invite you to this type of events like yours, guys, like the podcasts, the AMAs, conferences. You don't have to be somebody super important yet or participate in the huge visible crypto company to have your space and to be able to connect with people. And again, fortunately, the space is very friendly and very accepting to different levels, and everybody's experience and background is super valuable. And don't underestimate that. Just start.
Okay, so I have a question. I always like to ask these crazy questions, but what's one Web3 trend that you think or that you just kind of wish, or a myth, or something people believe about Web3 you just wish would just go away? If you could snap your fingers and it would go away, what would that be?
Oh, the way the media covers the topic, they tend to create materials around sad events, and this spread such a bad image towards the mass population that it's just a scammy space and artificial space, and I feel that there is not enough coverage around the value and the opportunities, or if there is information, it's in very niche spaces. So yeah, that doesn't help. But yeah, the bad reputation and also this association that in order to be involved in the crypto space or in the Web3 space, you either have to come from the traditional finance background or to be very technical. And I think this is an amazing opportunity, the type of materials and podcasts that you create, ladies, to show people that we are normal people with not such a not such a geeky background. So you can start getting involved or even start building,
Yeah, I think a lot of people hear about it and they, think because the news is reporting on the negative things, but negative
Yeah.
things happen in every industry. But that's what people are seeing, like my family, and they're like, "What are you doing?" Yeah.
And even being a bit more curious beyond the quick win, because let's be honest, a lot of people enter the space looking for a quick win, financially speaking, but there is way more. I mean, the technology and the opportunities opened by the space are more than what the financial part of it can offer. So I think it's important to be a bit curious.
Absolutely. There's room for everyone, not just the tech roles like you mentioned, Roxana. I love that. Um, I would love to know what trend in crypto or Web3 you're following closely right now, because as you mentioned, there's so many things that happen constantly, but what's one thing you have your eye on right now?
One big topic is institutional adoption. From the very beginning, we're very big into bringing Web3 tech outside of selling to each other and talk to any types of real world brands explaining how it can improve not only like crypto payments, but also different types of business processes that Web3 Rails can help with. And the second one, quite obvious, it's AI agents, because there's a lot of hype around agentic space, and I think it's still very kind of undercovered, all the opportunities that can be already taken by businesses and individuals and starting using it. And that's something that we're also working towards, and making the interface easier, bringing agentic backends to something that people don't really need to understand, don't need to be able, even so, like vibe coding and all this culture explaining or telling you that it's super easy, but it's still, there is a lot of friction to start using what's out there. So we're looking into this part, how to make it more accessible.
So, as founders, what tool or resource or thing could you not live without? um, what helps you day to day, or I guess I can think of some things myself, but what would you recommend to others who are, building and in the trenches?
Yeah, interesting. Exactly for the trenches, I think being being a startup founder is such a demanding process, and I think we've seen it lately being mentioned as probably the most powerful tool of self-development. So from this angle, I would say self-reflection as a daily tool in any form. It's either meditation, journaling, coaching, having a mentor. But yeah, self-reflection in a form or another, I think regulating the nervous system is crucial to be able to push forward. And I think in terms of technical tools, the classic, note taker, the AI assistant, yeah, they're part of the daily flow already.
And my side at the gym and training for exotic, and tell that like sometimes we have to book our meetings around my gym session. I was like, oh no, that's blocked. That's fine. Like if it's not something extremely important, then gym comes first.
Right. Right. Self-care is really important. Someone asked me, "Do you ever leave the office?" And I thought about it for a second. I was like, I haven't been outside in a long time. I was like, but I see the people out there. And so one of my things is to try to take a 10-minute walk every day. And then that's like a major accomplishment, just getting away from the computer sometimes. And that sounds crazy, but I mean, sometimes you just go through these periods of time where you're so busy that you need to remember to go outside. Yeah.
So real. It's so real. Also, my stand-up desk changed my life, honestly. I mean, it's a must. If not, like it's atrocious what could, happen. You're just glued to your chair. Yeah. Seriously though,
Yeah. Yeah.
I swear. And I have a dog, so I need to walk my dog as well. So she keeps me active as well. But I have to agree with the gym and the working out and just putting yourself out there. And I love how deep Roxana got with reflection. It's totally true. I thought she was gonna throw the tech gadgets first, but you're right. You're totally right. I love that. So what's the best piece of advice you've received in your career as of right now?
Well, my mentor from my scientific past told me to keep my focus and priorities, especially when you're like getting your project, you're super excited, you want to do too many things at a time. And he was like, nope, like choose what you're doing, cut everything off. Even if you like want to self-develop, just balance, like choose one major work thing, one major kind of what are you doing for free time, and maybe like little bits in the spare space. So yeah, prioritization in that regard.
Okay. Yeah, I would say that. I would say that's good. And some days I try to, when there's so much happening, I'll try to just think, some days just to prioritize the work side. Well, I mean, I know I need to take a walk and all that, but like, and drink water and, have my whole list. But sometimes to prioritize, I'll just think, okay, like what's going to help us move forward? Instead of like getting lost in all the other little tasks, or what is going to make us money, or what is going to, actually benefit the business instead of getting lost in all the other, noise. Yeah. Yeah. So that was really good advice, I think. Huh. So for people out there who are listening who want to use vSelf, learn more about vSelf, where can they find you? Where can they find more information?
Yeah. Well, we are present on Twitter, Telegram, LinkedIn. Our DMs are open. Happy to be in conversation. Yeah, reach out.
I have a fancy website, vSelf.ai.
Oh, yes. That was so obvious. Yes.
But easy to find.
Okay, so vSelf.ai. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Tatiana and Roxana, for joining us today. It's so inspiring to hear your stories, and I'm sure everyone watching as well has loved every second of it. And until next time, everyone, please do not forget to follow and subscribe to She Crypto for future episodes, for updates, for replays, and stay tuned because we're cooking a new series that's going to be on X Spaces. It's going to be super fun. So catch you there. Thank you so much, Kelly, and catch you on the next one.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.